As I was beholding the stars above, I began to feel the wind blow upon my countenance again. In the times of the silence of the wind, I started to see something start to form in time, and this was strange, for I saw like something comes up but does not come up to its fullness. With the crowns of my eyes still in one place, I started to enter into the state between wakefulness and stillness. My spirit started to move into the mysteries that lie beneath the reality of man, veiled from the eyes of the physical. I started to see glances of many things. I saw this comes up and another in its stead, while yet another also rises.
Hello everyone, this is Prince from Aeon Worship. Last time I talked about dream and dream interpretation, how it is key for a dream to be interpreted. If you didn't watch that video, you can go back and watch it. But today I am here to tell you of how you can interpret a dream. One of the ways or methods or abilities I have developed to be able to interpret any dream, one of the first secrets I learned is the more I listen to a dream, the more I began to see what it actually meant. What does it say? For example, I can say, I had a dream when I was going into the market. When I reached into the market, I bought 2 buns and 1 glass of milk. Are we together? When one of the methods of interpreting a dream is by separating these 3 things, and they're so important. A dream has 3 parts. One, I call it the symbolisms. The second, I call it the interpretation of the dream. And the third is the message of the dream. The symbolisms are the objects, the various objects that appear in a dream. For example, in the example I've given you, I had a dream when I was going down into the market. We know that market, we note it as a symbolism. Then I said that I bought 2 buns. The 2 buns are another symbolism. Then I said I bought a glass of milk, which is another symbolism. So when you have all these symbolisms together, you know, there was a market, then there are 2 buns, then there is a glass of milk. Are we together? If I am to interpret this dream, I would say that the market represents a time in a season where there will be a lot of activity, say in the currencies or the stocks or in finances. But also it also talks about going into a place where people are, a market. And I said that I went into this market and I bought 2 buns. The 2 buns represent 2 seasons. And in these 2 seasons, there shall come. Now, I'm going ahead of myself, but I'm saying in these 2 seasons, they shall be similar. 2 seasons similar to each other, and they shall be significant to them being a season of where it shall be dominant, feeding, eating. But also the bands represent learning. And then that 1 glass of milk represents a time where I will benefit from what I have learned. What does that mean in our day-to-day? I had a dream when I went to the market. Now, if I'm to interpret this in terms of time, the market represents a year, 1 whole year. In that whole year, I got 2 bands. I bought 2 bands, so I will have 2 seasons that shall be seasons of learning, where I'll be feeding, learning. So there shall be 2 months where I will be expected, I will be sowing, because there's a time of sowing and reaping, and that dream talks about sowing and reaping. The 2 bands represent 2 seasons of me sowing, and by sowing I mean by learning and experiencing and learning. And then the 1 glass of milk represents the 3rd month. That shall be a month of benefiting from what I have been doing in the 2 months. So the dream is talking of 3 months in a year. Remember, I told you the market represents the whole year. I bought 2 bands, which are 2 months of learning and input. And then the glass of milk represents a time where I benefit. If there is beginning, that means the month of January and February shall be months of learning and having input and studying. But the month of March, that is where I get my benefit. That, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of how you dream. I remember I told you a dream has 3 parts: the symbolisms, the interpretation of the dream, and the message. The symbolism of the dream are the 2 bands, the market, the glass of milk. The message is there shall be 2 months of learning and 1 month of results. What is the instruction of the message of the dream? The dream tells me that when I shall begin to see experiences coming in, I need to prepare myself for a time to begin to sow or to learn, but also prepare myself to bring forth like a basket that shall gather the things that I will learn. But I will also know that I will not use the 1st month or the 2nd month to try and get benefits, because the benefits lie in the 3rd month. So in that dream example, we had 3 months where 2 were similar and 1 was separate. And yet I told you that a dream is not limited to one interpretation. It is the interpreter of the dream that limits a dream. Next time, I'll be giving you more examples of how these dreams unfold. But I hope you've learned something about today's discussion, that a dream has 3 parts. 1, the symbolisms, the interpretation, and the message of the dream. And by that, I hope you were all blessed.